All right, here we go. Once again, the convo in business for Oak Ridge Ford in London, Ontario. OakRidgeFord.com. It is April 24th, 2022. The Leafs 0 for 2 in Florida, getting obliterated by the Bolts. And then, going toe-to-toe with the top team in the division, ultimately losing in overtime. So getting a point out of the two. I don't know. Did they show enough bravado against teams that are going to play in the playoffs, or does it even matter? Joining me to talk a little bit about it, the one and only Michael P. Augello from Cheektowaga, New York. Mike, 3 games to go in the regular season. The Leafs haven't exactly looked too great over the past couple of days. Michael Bunting's hurt. Matthews gripping his stick a little too tight in pursuit of 60. Where are you at, my friend?
Well, in terms of the trip in Florida, I mean, I looked at that game in Tampa and saying, they held out Matthews, even though Matthews appeared healthy on Tuesday when I was up in Toronto. He skated at the morning skate. They decided, to opt on the side of caution. Muzzin, same thing. They also sat him out against Florida. They probably will play him tonight against Washington. To me, it's smacked of load management, and I get that they had to leave.
Right.
Their fate in the playoffs may rest on the shoulders of Austin Matthews and having a veteran guy like Muzzin on the blue line. But they put Eric Shalgren in goal instead of Campbell, and after a decent first period, they really played disinterested and disengaged, and Shalgren is an AHL goaltender.
Mm-hmm.
So they took a whooping from the Lightning, and the Lightning tried to send some signals in that game, and the Leafs did push back a little bit. You had Simmons and you had Clifford and Bunting pushing back a little bit, and that was optimistic. But when you're going to play that team, and it's now almost guaranteed they're going to play the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Right.
You've got to show up better than that. And then last night, you remember the last time they were in that building at the BB&T Center in Sunrise, they had a 5-1 lead in the second period and blew it and lost 7-6 in overtime. Well, it was only half as bad this time. They had a 2-0 lead in the first period and then blew that. And they played well, and Jack Campbell played really well, but can he beat this team? They lost.
Mm-hmm.
They lost in overtime again. So I mean, again, does that really mean anything? I don't know. I mean, because they're pretty much locked in second, and Florida's pretty much locked in first. But if they do win a first round series, they're going to be playing Florida, and that memory of losing 2 games in overtime in Florida, those things stick in your memory.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they do have some importance, as opposed to somebody who has left some comments in our on our show that says the regular season doesn't matter. I don't know where the where the hell you got that from. What I've been saying. I've been saying the regular season does matter. And, if the Leafs hadn't lost to teams like Arizona, Buffalo, and Montreal, they'd be in first place in the Atlantic Division. And instead, they're going to be in second place and playing Tampa Bay.
This is the convo for Oak Ridge Ford in London, Ontario, OakRidgeFord.com. I've mentioned it before. Lots of new inventory on the ground, plenty of pre-owned vehicles. If you're looking for something perhaps a little more fuel efficient, lower your payments, something newer, more technology, bigger, more expensive, crazy on gas, I'm sure I have something for you. Get at me in community at I am Norman James on Twitter. You can find me just about anywhere, Mike. So I have been getting back into social media the last couple of weeks. One, I was convalescing and trying to recover from my hernia surgery last week, and I had nothing really to do other than just to be out there. But it is interesting. It's the same old thing. You have, one group of fans who want to excoriate the Leafs and another who want to celebrate them. So the Leafs get their asses kicked by the defending champions who look to me like we're playing a meaningful game in a game that a lot of Leaf fans said was meaningless. So that's interesting, right? The team that has done shit forever and really has a lot to prove, doesn't mean anything. The team that's won and trying to defend its championship, well, that game meant something to them, right? If the roles were reversed, of course, now the Leafs are clearly about to beat the crap out of the defending champions, and for Tampa, it doesn't mean anything. I understand you have to create a bit of a narrative and skew it depending on the results. So I guess the key for us right now with 3 games to go is, what are we expecting from the 3? Should we expect anything of it? And should we be just looking forward to the next week and a half when the playoffs start? Because I mean, we've said enough about what's happened. There's going to be guys missing. There's going to be guys back. You're going to have some unsung heroes. You're going to have some people who are going to disappoint. I mean, just collectively, it's just about now. We know kind of where the Leafs are going to be. I mean, pretty much. It's just about, look, let's not get too crazy regarding the next 3 games. Let's just focus on the playoffs, because at the end of the day, the Leafs go 0-3, 3-0. It really matters what happens when the puck is dropped on game 1. Sorry for going on the soliloquy here, Mike, but trying to temper some of the rage and also temper some of the exuberance, right, Mike? These are some really important times, no matter how you slice it.
Well, I mean, ending the season, they end the season with 2 home games. But this late season road trip against 3 playoff teams, not to say that you have to sell out and just, play ridiculous and win all 3 games, but it would be nice. I mean, they put forth a good effort last night against Florida.
Right.
The effort against Tampa Bay in the first period and a half to 2 periods was, we don't want to get hurt, or let this game means. And even in the post game, Sheldon Keefe said, "Well, the game meant more. The game meant more to them clearly than it meant to us." You can't go into the playoffs deciding that you're just going to turn it on or turn it off. And
the Leafs even have that capability. My answer to that is no, until it's proven otherwise.
Now they've been hot recently. I mean, they were like, I think 11-1-1.
Right.
And with Giordano, after the Giordano trade, after the deadline.
Right.
But now you've lost a one-sided game to Tampa. Now you've lost an overtime to Florida. And now you're playing 3rd game in 4 nights against Washington, Washington is in a battle for 3rd place in the Metro, with Pittsburgh. So that game is going to mean more for them than it means to Toronto. Does that mean that Toronto just says, "Okay, go ahead, take it"? It's like, no, you can't have that mentality. You have to be able to say, okay, this game means something. Even at game 80, when you're locked in 2nd place, you have to have enough pride and you have enough fortitude to be able to. Now, again, they're hoping for a much better effort out of Shalgren. I mean, one thing, and I don't think I'm talking out of school here. If Jack Campbell gets hurt, the season is over with, because Eric Shalgren is,
if Austin Matthews.
Well, right, but I'm talking
down. The season is over with too.
I'm talking strictly the goaltending here,
right?
Like Carolina's.
Wow. That's a lot of dependency on one guy who hasn't proven shit, right?
Carolina's playoff prospects have gone down significantly with Freddie Anderson getting hurt. Okay, yep. Any team that has Stanley Cup aspirations, if their number 1 goalie gets hurt, short of Florida with Spencer Knight, because he's a really promising young goalie prospect, but short of that, most teams, if they lose the number 1 goaltender, they're in deep trouble. But Jack Campbell is a question mark, and he's the number 1. And question mark in the sense that he's only had 1 playoff run under on his back. So they really need him, and he did play well, and he has played well since coming back from the injury. But really, the drop off is so significant there that if he gets injured, if he gets tweaked, they're in real deep
well
trouble.
Michael Hutchinson's doing roofing right now, waiting for the call. So if he gets the call, it might be a good opportunity for him. J.A. Scott chiming in. I had to drop this one in. Keefe said last night post-game interview that Florida knows what it takes to win. Can we really say that about the Leafs?
Well, okay, that's a good point. And the thing is, that is why I have talked so much about games that people say were meaningless,
right?
Like the Heritage Classic against the Sabres.
I'm sorry, that's so arrogant. Like, is it only games are only meaningless to the Leafs because they just don't mean anything? Like, what?
Well, I mean, okay.
Meaningless. It's an excuse, Mike.
Looking at it from their point of view, they're like, the Leafs are in 2nd place. They can't go up. I mean, they haven't clinched anything,
right?
They can't go up, they can't go down, so the game is meaningless. No, but Florida is locked into first place. They're 10 points ahead of the Leafs. Did it look like that game meant something to them? It did.
Well, the Tampa game was stark, Mike. That
because they're fighting for a President's Trophy, but the President's Trophy is meaningless. Other than home ice advantage in the Stanley Cup Finals, that is meaningless. But yeah, I mean, we know that this team. There are questions about this team's killer instinct when it came back to game 3-1 in the playoffs last year, when it came to beating the teams that you need to beat to win divisions. They didn't. So until they show, and that's why I said show me, until they show that they can step up and beat teams in the playoffs when it counts, and we've been talking about this all year, Norm, we said the season begins on May the 1st. And that's when it's going to begin. And if they show that they step up and they get great goaltending and they fight back and they shut down players like Hedman and Stamkos and Kucherov, I'll be the first guy to give them all the credit. But I'm saying, show me. I don't believe it until I see it.
It's interesting. So this is for anybody who's watching. So when we laud the Leafs and we get the John Bonham drum, big gong, and we start gonging in the back, just boom, 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 Leafs, great, Dubas, Nylander. Nobody cares. Nobody watches. Like, nobody likes that, right? So we don't we could shit on them all the time just to get people to watch us. That's not what we're trying to do. Like, we don't do anything sensational to try to drum up. I don't do any weird stuff just to try to bring people in to the channel just for clicks. Not at all. We're just telling it like it is, Mike. And 6, 7, 8 years ago, when the Leafs were shitty or just marginal or in and out of the playoff picture, every win meant something. Now, like, it's almost as if we're become accustomed to the success that really doesn't count, and we're making excuses for going that extra mile, right? But setting a tone against Tampa, saying, fuck you guys, we're going to see you in the playoffs, we're going to take it to you, right? None of this, well, the game doesn't matter, we're going to get beaten to a pulp or get the shit kicked out of us. It doesn't matter. The playoffs haven't started yet. That's right, because the Leafs have such a lengthy playoff pedigree that everybody knows when the lights get brighter, the Leafs turn it on. That's the thing, right? We're criticized, like, I'm criticized for not being a loyal, devoted fan because I'm not banging the drum constantly. I've been down this road so many times before, and if I'm proven wrong, that's fantastic. But from what I'm seeing right now, it's a bit of a disappointing finish here. When in those moments, even if you instead of losing 8-1, try losing 8-5, and leaving some people on the ice to say, look, man, you're not giving us enough credit because we have changed and we're ready to ramp this thing up in the playoffs. I feel like this notion that the Leafs will be gifted something or their time will just come without putting the work in is foolhardy, and it's just going to leave a lot of people disappointed again, and a lot of people making another round of stupid ass excuses.
Well, I mean, you go into this playoff with a team that is capable of winning, but
capable, good word. It's capable of winning.
Yeah, sure. But the question is will they be able to do that? I mean, do they have the firepower? Yes. Do they have? I think their defense now with Muzzin back, and I think Muzzin will be back tonight, and with a healthy 6, will be is not. I mean, not as good as Tampa, not as good as some other teams, but there's enough experience, there's enough talent there that they can win. Goaltending with Campbell at times, if we get the Jack Campbell of October and November and of the last week or so, sure, they can win. If we get the Campbell of December, January, and February, not so much.
A lot of things have to line up.
Right. There's a lot of question marks. And I mean, okay, what are the question marks with Tampa? Well, the question mark is, are they, I know that like on the Buzzcast, my buddy Russ and Kevin Allen and other reporters that I've talked to are, well, I think Tampa Bay might be spent, that they've gone through
Yeah,
2 long rows for.
possible. We
I mean,
don't know.
it's very possible, but honestly, would I rather play a team that on paper is weaker, and I think Boston was weaker, or a team that has won 2 Stanley Cup? Now, okay, it's not all the same players, but the core group is there.
Right.
They looked pretty sharp to me on Thursday when they lost 8-1. So it's a question of what is the Leaf team that beat them 6-2 earlier this month. Is that the team that's going to show up in game 1 through game 7, or is it the team that lost 8-1?
Bang, 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 bang. Bird watching life. But we need somebody to keep it positive in here. We are positive,
I mean,
I'm
okay.
positively positive that the Leafs will play in the first round.
Okay, this is the thing. I'm sorry, because I have a lot of people who read my column on Hockey Buzz and people who have listened to me on the radio for years. I don't know what people think that things have changed. I was critical of the Leafs when I called in as a caller on Leaf Talk with Andy Frost. I praised them when they were good, and I bashed them and destroyed them when they were bad. And more times than not, they were bad. So maybe, but honestly, it's like I give credit where credit is due. When this team is playing well, I'm like, hell, I said William Nylander should be on the All-Star team based on how he had played from October to December. If that's not saying, okay, I'm giving credit where credit's due.
Right.
Now, that's the whole thing. It's like, I'm not a pom-pom waiver. I am not, in spite of the fact that I was a fan in my previous life, I'm a reporter now. I try to take it down the middle. When the team plays well, I give them credit. When the team does not play well, they're going to get destroyed by me. And I'm sorry if you don't like that, but that's just the case.
Well, look, we've pointed this out, and it's no secret. The Leafs, the divisiveness amongst Leaf fans is, it's intense. Would a Stanley Cup run and ultimately a championship for the blue and white unite this fan base? A little bit. I just don't think it'll ever be unified across the board, all wanting the same goal, right? I will be a fan however the fuck I want to be a fan, right? Long after this podcast, I'm a Major League fan. I love the Maple Leafs. The Blue Jays and the Maple Leafs, 2 teams that mean the most to me historically. Just growing up in Toronto, sneaking into the Gardens, watching practices. I played baseball because of the Blue Jays. These teams mean a lot to me, right? But at this point, everything we've seen, the way I've covered sports for 20 years, and we've done this podcast, we are telling it like we see it. And if it is wrong, then don't watch us. Then call us a bunch of dumbasses who don't know what we're talking about. But it's funny, if you go back over the last 4 years, and again, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed all the time. We're pretty much spot on the entire fucking time. And that's just because, we're here telling it like it is. If I were to sit here and go, no, the Leafs are going to win. They're going to dominate. They're going to dominate. Rah, rah. Yeah, they're going to do it. I don't know how they're going to do it, but they're going to do it. And they don't do it. What am I worth? Right? I want them to win. I swear I want them to win. Please prove me wrong. But based on everything I'm seeing, I don't see how this team goes into any series they line up in as the favorite. They have a lot of fucking work to do. And if you're not acknowledging that as a fan, then that's fine. But you're not being truthful to yourself.
When I grew up, there was a significant segment of the fan base of Toronto that was content with them. If they won on Saturday night on Hockey Night in Canada and were last place in the league, they were content because at least they got a chance to watch them win on the national broadcast. Honestly, like from the point of view of most fans, they want to see this team win a Stanley Cup before they die. And, it would be nice, for one time in the last 18 years for them to win a round.
Mm-hmm.
So every great journey starts with a single step. The single step here is beating now Tampa Bay in the first round of the playoffs. Now that road is going to is now going to be a little more difficult from what I've seen, because now it looks like Michael Bunting according to what happened last night, or the reports that came out last night, and what Sheldon Keefe said after the game, Michael Bunting is going to miss some time. And what we don't know is how much time, or we don't know the extent of the injury. If it's something serious, they'll let everybody know, because then there won't be, they'll try to like knock down the constant questions of when he'll be back. If it's something where he can bounce back in a couple weeks, maybe come back in the middle of the first round series, then but right now it doesn't sound like he'll start the playoffs. He won't be available. Andre Kasha is still recovering from concussion symptoms. That means that you're going to have both Clifford and Simmons in the lineup on the fourth line, and maybe a guy like Colin Blackwell moves up. But I could see the possibility of Nick Robertson being called up from the Marlies. He's got 15 goals in like 25 games. He's played really well of late. But what they're going to be worried about is experience. And
all hands on deck, man. All hands on deck. Whichever hands you can enlist, right?
And last night, what they did after Bunting got hurt is they moved Nylander on the top line with Matthews and Marner. But that's sort of an all your eggs in one basket type of situation. So I'm not sure if that's, they probably want Nylander on the second or third line to provide some offense. And also,
you don't think Mark should be put on the fourth line to get Simmons going?
Well, I mean, the one thing though about putting Nylander on that top line is that top line, they do get caught defensively enough, and Nylander is the worst plus minus guy on this team. So him being on that line doesn't exactly help them out defensively. And you have to be concerned of the fact that line is going to be out there for 20, 21, 22 minutes a night. They have to be judicious defensively. And if you have Nylander on there, they're going to be all offensive mentality and not much defensive.
Yeah. So the thing is with Bunting, he's a workman-like guy that a lot of fans don't like, right? Because they actually go out and they probably shouldn't be where they are, but they've earned it. And I guess I always thought we were rooting for the underdog, but Bunting's been great. But he's the kind of guy who rolls up his sleeves and goes to work. He's the guy who will do the dirty stuff, or get crazy, get punched, get cross-check, right? Need all kinds of stuff. But he's working on behalf of the greater good, and hopefully opening up some space and some ice for the more elite skilled guys. I'm concerned without guys like that, without Muzzin at his best. Like I think we're not recognizing the preview that I believe Tampa gave us the other night, because not only are they the champions, it's their strap to defend. Now, winning 3 in a row is going to be extremely difficult. So the odds are greater against them to win a third cup than it would be for the Leafs to probably win their first. But the Leafs have to sort of overcome this hurdle. But I think Tampa's given us a taste of what's to come. And if that game, whether it was meaningless or not, was any indication, I don't know if the Leafs are going to be ready for what Tampa brings. And it's a guy like Michael Bunting who you'd want out there, and a healthy Jake Muzzin and a Wayne Simmons and a Kyle Clifford to get out there and create some space for the elite guys. It's, again, tell me why I'm wrong and why I shouldn't even worry about it. Sit back. The Leafs are going to win in 4. These are the things that concern me, Mike. And I don't know.
But Bunting is a shit disturber, and you need those players. Like Montreal needs Brendan Gallagher, or like other teams have their Tom Wilson's more of an enforcer and a disturber, and it all rolled into one. But you need those guys, and against Tampa, the one redeeming quality was the fact that at the end of the game, Bunting and Clifford and Simmons got underneath the skin of guys like Corey Perry and Patrick Maroon.
Sure.
Now it can just simply be an annoyance. It could also draw penalties, and we know Bunting has been good at drawing penalties, so that is a loss for them. Now, I don't know whether that means, I think there's a possibility they could end up like elevating a guy like Colin Blackwell on the wing on the top line instead of putting Nylander on the first line. But again, Bunting is a loss. But the thing is that they sat out Matthews for 3 games. He didn't exactly look like he was struggling yesterday. I think that the players being scratched were more load management than they were serious injuries. Maybe there was something, like an ankle sprain or something like that. They're saying it wasn't a wrist with Matthews. They've got time. They've got space. They've got a lead. They said, okay, let's make sure he's 100% going in the playoffs. I have nothing wrong with that. But your team has still got to show up without those players, and that's why the 8-1 loss to Tampa was
be rigged. We can never have good things. We have a great kind of thing. Right? I want it to be the ultimate thing. I want it to be a champion. Of course, we can have good things. I don't understand what that means. But again, like, how are we so off? So the Leafs are playing the defending Stanley Cup champion that has had another good season, that just beat the shit out of them. Just whether that game meant anything to you or not, it meant something to Tampa. Explain to me how, based on what you're seeing from the Leafs now versus what Tampa's done, the Leafs are the favorite to win that. No, but I'm just one from any fan, and I love all the OGs and converts, guys. I will remember these times with you guys forever. This has been a blast, whether we're on the same page all the time or not. That's not the point. This isn't a cult, right? I don't come here trying to indoctrinate anybody. But here's the thing, guys. I want to know from you why the Leafs are favored to win this series. What is it about, based on the way they're playing right now, the players on the team, how these guys are structured, how these guys are revving up versus what Tampa is? How are the Leafs favored? This is the gist of what we're talking about. Nobody said we can't have good things. Nobody said the Leafs aren't good, that the Leafs don't have potential. Mike said that the Leafs are capable of winning. Explain to me why we're way off base and that we should be looking at it from a different viewpoint and coming to the revelation that, fuck, the Leafs are way better than Tampa, going to obliterate them in the first round and go on and get the divine right that is the Stanley Cup finally in 2022. That's all that's where we're coming from right now. I don't think the Leafs are favored. I don't think they're the best on paper out of these two teams. Sure, they've got Austin Matthews. Sure, they got beautiful William Nylander. Sure, Mitch Marner's come back from the dead when he was almost deceased to start the season. That's great. But look who you're up against. The Leafs, to win this series, in my opinion, are going to need Tampa to lose their nerve, and they're going to have to keep punching Tampa figuratively and even literally at some point throughout the mid level of this series, and knock them on their heels and take it from them, but also have a team that shows some weakness. I don't know if the Leafs can take it to Tampa. It still remains to be seen if Tampa, finally kind of starts to fizzle out a little bit, because it has been a long run. And if that's the case, and then the Leafs are advantageous and opportunistic and in a good position, that's where they may be able to kind of finally get over this hump completely, like literally and spiritually, and finally make some hay. But where I'm at right now, I just don't know how, anyone can say that the Leafs are favored to win this series based on all the criteria that we can examine, Mike. A few more minutes, but I did want to get to a couple of just takes after the Tampa game. Last night's game showed that the Leafs are good, but not good enough. That comes from Sebi CDC. Andrew Walters, my wife, asked me why I was wearing a bag over my head with no holes in it. Teddy from Florida, man, I would like to play Boston. James Janke, results matter. Mike was right about Tampa. Caleb Merkstrom, too many guys out, he says. Tampa ramped up, but I saw that last night versus the Leafs. I didn't see that when they were lost to the Leafs 6-2, right? So, again, fans want to believe. I know. So do I. But what I'm seeing doesn't make me believe anymore, for God's sakes.
Yeah, I mean, okay, don't get me wrong. It's like, that's the definition of a fan. They want to believe that their team can win. But we're looking at this in realism. It's like, okay, the Leafs are not the favorite to win the Stanley Cup, and the Leafs are not, even though they'll have home ice advantage in a series against Tampa Bay. Most prognosticators are going to pick Tampa, because the Leafs haven't proved that they can win in the playoffs, and Tampa Bay has. Now, 3 years ago, when Tampa Bay lost to Columbus in the first round, did anybody believe that Tampa Bay was going to win in the playoffs? No, they had to prove it. They did. They made changes to the roster. They were not the same team that lost to Columbus in 4 straight. What happened? Then they won the Stanley Cup. That's why, like, the moves that the Leafs made, maybe those are the moves that will help them advance in the playoffs. But until they do it, color me skeptical.
Right. And maybe it's possible the Leafs are following the same pattern and hopefully trajectory of Tampa, right? So it's the Leafs' opportunity, if they take it, if they're in position to knock out the defending champions and become what the defending champions became. That's always possible. Again, looking at this team right now, it does not seem like a team that's collectively ready to bust down the door and take it to anyone, right? They've done well in the regular season. Matthews at 58 goals, career highs all around. But if you mentioned this, if Campbell goes down, is Shalgren a Conn Smythe winning kind of goaltender? Maybe. It's possible. I don't think it's probable. Um, if Tampa takes it to the Leafs physically, that's going to be a major issue, because Tampa can play with the Leafs offensively anyway, right? They're just as good offense. I mean, they're just as robust and capable. So there's a lot of things that we have to see. I'm skeptical that the Leafs can go on a big run. I'm still always hopeful that I'm proven wrong, and that's just the skies part, and then the hockey god comes down and anoints the Leafs a champion. Any last words, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, tonight will be an interesting matchup in terms of, Ovechkin now with 50 goals. Matthews looking to hold on to the Rocket Richard. I'm sure he wants to score and be the first Leaf to score 60. If he doesn't get it tonight, then you have 2 games against Detroit and Boston later in the week. But it would be nice to see Matthews coming back off the games off and get a few goals.
Yeah, and we didn't even really talk about him much. Do you think this gets into his head here?
No.
I mean, he's a guy who just if he gets 58 and not 60, you think he loses any sleep over it?
I don't think so.
He's probably going to put himself in position to score 60. I don't know. OG's Converts, let me know in the community portion of the podcast platform on YouTube. Does Matthews get 60, or does he get 59? Like, I don't know. I'd really like to see it, but at the end of the day, I don't think he gives a shit. Mikey, go do your thing, buddy. Take care of everything. You and I will probably connect on social media, and let's try to do a couple of shows this coming week. Why not?
Sounds good.
OG's Converts, we love you so much. Stay with the channel throughout the run here. Hopefully it's a long one. Hopefully Mike and I are eating all kinds of crow, and I'll throw some hot sauce on mine, and Mike
blue cheese.
You're gluten-free though, right, Mike? So I don't know if you.
Oh, yeah. No, blue cheese on my crow.
Bring on the crow. For Mike, I'm Norm. Talk to you soon. Bye.